Cole Coleman rode the north fence line same as he had every morning for 30 years. Check the posts, count the cattle, ride back before the heat got mean. He saw the bundle from 100 yards out, thought it was a calf down maybe, or a sack of feed some drifter left, got closer, realized it wasn't either. A woman, tied to his property marker with hemp rope, dress torn, face swollen, unconscious or dead, he couldn't tell which, a note pinned to her chest written in saloon ink, not worth saving, take her or leave her, don't matter to me. R.C. Cole had spent 52 years learning the value of things, cattle, land, water rights. But he'd never seen a human being priced at nothing, with a man's initials to prove it. He reached for his knife. Her eyes snapped open. She didn't scream, just stared at him like she'd been expecting this her whole life. Cole cut the ropes with 3 strokes. Hemp fell away like dead skin. She didn't move, didn't run. Just pulled her torn sleeves over rope-burned wrists and sat there in the dust waiting, like she'd learned that waiting was safer than hoping. He offered his canteen. She took it, drank 3 small sips, handed it back. There was a creek 2 miles north, and his ranch another 3 beyond that. She was rationing water she didn't need to ration. Name? She shook her head, not defiance. More like the question didn't matter anymore, like names were for people who belonged somewhere. Cole read the note again. Initials R.C. Raymond Cass. Owned the saloon in town and ran what he called a boarding house upstairs. Everyone knew what kind of boarding it was. Law looked the other way, long as the territorial taxes got paid. Can you ride? She nodded. Cole helped her onto his horse. She weighed less than a feed sack. When was the last time this girl ate a full meal? They rode in silence. The sun hammered down on them both. Heat shimmered off the hard pan like the earth itself was trying to escape into the sky. Halfway home, she spoke. First words, "You're making a mistake." Cole didn't ask what she meant. Knew she meant him helping her was the mistake. That kindness always cost more than folks bargained for. That men like Cass didn't let go of what they considered theirs. Been making mistakes my whole life, he said. Got pretty good at it. She was quiet another mile. Then, why would you risk trouble for me? He didn't have an answer. Didn't know himself. 5 years he'd ridden this fence line without seeing anything but cattle and sky. 5 years of keeping his head down and his heart closed. Now here he was, carrying a woman with a rope-burned neck toward his empty house. Sometimes a man does a thing because not doing it would cost him more. She didn't respond. But her grip on the saddle horn loosened just a fraction, like maybe she believed him, or wanted to. They reached the ranch at dusk. Desert night atmosphere settling in, deep navy sky, first stars appearing like puncture wounds in canvas. Sarah Brennan came out the kitchen door, took one look at the girl, and didn't ask a single question. Just stepped forward, gentle as morning. Come on, honey, let's get you inside. Sarah guided Elena toward the house. Cole watched them go. Watched Sarah open the guest room door, the one that hadn't been opened since Martha died. The one he'd kept locked like a tomb. Sarah came back out 10 minutes later, wiping her hands on her apron. I sent word to Doc Hennessy. He'll be here within the hour. She say anything? Her name's Elena. That's all she'd give me. Rest of it's written all over her. Cole sat on the porch. Couldn't bring himself to go inside. The guest room door standing open felt like a wound he'd spent 5 years trying to keep closed. Doc Hennessy arrived with his black bag and his gray beard and 68 years of seeing things he wished he hadn't. He went into the guest room. Cole heard low voices, Sarah's murmur. The girl, Elena, saying something too quiet to make out. 20 minutes later, Doc came out to the porch, sat down heavy in the chair beside Cole. Rope burns, dehydration, bruises, some fresh, some a week old, maybe older. Doc packed his pipe with tobacco, lit it. Body'll heal. The rest, that's different. What happens if Cass comes for her? You asking legally or morally? I'm asking what's right. Doc drew on his pipe. Smoke curled up into the dark. Right and legal ain't always the same animal, Coleman. You know that. Cole stared out at the dark, at his land, his cattle. His empire built on good decisions and hard work and being smart enough to know when to hold and when to fold. She stays if she wants to stay. That note said she ain't worth saving. That note's a lie. Doc was quiet a long moment. Then, you sure about that? Or you sure you need it to be? The question landed like a fist. What's that supposed to mean? Means that girl in there, she might have saved you from riding past. Ever think of that? Cole opened his mouth, closed it. He'd thought he was rescuing her, doing the decent thing, the Christian thing. But Doc's words flipped it sideways. 5 years he'd been building this ranch into something bigger. More cattle, more land, more money in the bank, But for what? For who? He ate alone, slept alone, rode the fence line alone. His empire was a monument to absence. You've been building something for ghosts, boy. That girl in there? She's alive. First live thing you've let near you since Martha passed. Cole had no answer. Doc stood, hitched his bag over his shoulder. I'll check on her tomorrow. You just remember, saving somebody ain't about making yourself feel better. It's about showing up when it costs you something. From inside the house, a sound, breaking glass, Sarah's voice, calm but carrying. It's all right, honey. That's just an old cup. We got plenty more. But Cole knew which cup. The dented tin one. The only one he'd kept. The one Martha used to leave on the porch rail every morning, filled with coffee and love, and the promise that someone was waiting for him to come home. Some things break twice, once when you lose them, once when somebody finds them again. Cole woke before dawn. 40 years of ranching had wired his body to rise with the land, whether he wanted to or not. He stepped onto the porch in his undershirt and suspenders, boots unlaced, expecting nothing but the same dark sky he'd been greeting alone for 5 years. The tin cup sat on the porch rail, steam rising, coffee inside, his breath caught like he'd been kicked. Sarah appeared in the doorway behind him, dish towel in hand. Wasn't me, Mr. Coleman. He couldn't take his eyes off it. The dent in the rim, the worn handle. Martha had dropped it their first winter. He'd wanted to throw it out. She'd laughed, kept it, said things that survive a fall are worth keeping. The girl did it, Sarah said quietly. Found it in the back of the cupboard, washed it, made coffee. She didn't know. Cole reached for the cup. His hand shook. The coffee was hot, strong. The way Martha used to make it when she wanted him to stay awake for her in the evenings, when the work was done, and it was just them and the stars. I can take it back inside, Sarah offered. No. His voice came out rough. Leave it. It's good to see it used. The sun broke the horizon. Plains dawn light, soft gold and rose, like the world was apologizing for yesterday's heat. Cole stood there holding that cup, and for the first time in 5 years, morning didn't feel like punishment. Elena didn't come out till noon. When she did, she was wearing one of Martha's old dresses, pale blue cotton, too big in the shoulders, sleeves rolled up 3 times. Sarah must have found it in the trunk. She stood in the kitchen doorway like she was waiting for permission to breathe. Cole was at the table, ledger book open in front of him. Numbers he wasn't reading. Coffee's probably cold by now, he said without looking up. But there's eggs if you're hungry. She sat, moved slow, like a person who'd learned that sudden movements draw attention. Sarah set a plate in front of her. 2 eggs, toast, butter. Elena stared at it like it might vanish. She ate in small bites, fork down between each one. Prison manners, or worse. Sarah watched from the counter, protective as a mother cat. The silence stretched, not uncomfortable, just, present, like the 3 of them were learning how to exist in the same room. Finally, Elena spoke. The note was right. Cole set his pencil down. How do you figure? I signed papers. Owed money I couldn't pay. Mr. Cass owns my labor contract for 2 more years. Law says I'm his property till the debt's worked off. The words came out flat, rehearsed, like she'd said them to herself so many times they'd lost their edges. Law says a lot of things, Cole said. Don't make 'em true. Law's all there is. No, ma'am. He finally looked at her, really looked. Saw the girl under the bruises, 24 maybe, eyes older than that. There's what's legal, and there's what's right. Sometimes they shake hands. Most times, in my experience, they don't even know each other. Elena's fork stopped halfway to her mouth, like the idea was foreign. That legal and moral might be different animals. You're saying break the law? I'm saying the law can be wrong, and when it is, a man's got to choose which master he serves. Sarah moved from the counter, sat down at the table. Something in her posture said what came next mattered. Elena, honey, what was your stepfather's name? The girl went still. Thomas Brennan. Why? Sarah's face didn't change, but her knuckles went white on the edge of the table. Thomas Brennan was my husband. The air left the room. He gambled away our ranch 12 years ago, Sarah continued, voice steady as fence wire. Drank himself to death 2 years back. I knew he was cruel, mean when the whiskey got in him. But I didn't know. She stopped, swallowed. I didn't know what he'd done to you. Elena stared at her plate. You couldn't have stopped him. Maybe not, but I should have seen it. Should have known a man who'd ruin his own family wouldn't stop there. Cole watched them both. 2 women carved up by the same man's selfishness. One through gambling, one through something worse. And here they sat at his table, in his dead wife's kitchen, trying to figure out how to survive, what men like Thomas Brennan left behind. He told me I owed Mr. Cass $800, Elena said quietly. Said if I didn't work it off, he'd go to prison. I believed him. I was 17. I thought, her voice cracked, I thought family protects you. Even bad family. Sarah reached across the table, took Elena's hand. Didn't say anything. Didn't need to. Cole stood, walked to the window, looked out at his land, his cattle, his money sitting in the bank doing nothing but collecting interest while girls like Elena got sold on forged papers and men like Thomas Brennan destroyed everything they touched. That contract legal? He asked. Judge Peck signed it, Elena said. Territorial court? Peck. Cole knew him. Played poker with Cass every Thursday. Probably signed that paper over whiskey and cigars without reading past the dollar amount. The system wasn't broken. It was working exactly as designed. For men with money and connections, against girls with neither. You got the papers? Cole asked. Elena shook her head. Mr. Cass kept them. Said I'd run if I had them. Smart. Keep the chain invisible but present. Make her carry the weight of it in her mind. Cole turned from the window, looked at Elena, at Sarah, at two women the law had failed and men had broken. He'll come for you, Cole said. Cass, maybe not today, but soon. Man like that don't let go easy. I know. And when he does, I'm going to stand between you and him. Law or no law. You understand what I'm saying? Elena met his eyes. First time she'd looked at him direct. Why would you do that? Because 5 years ago, he'd chosen land over love, and his wife died calling his name. Because he'd built an empire for ghosts and forgotten what it meant to be alive. Because this girl sitting at his table in his dead wife's dress was the first thing in half a decade that made him remember what a man's spine was for. But he didn't say any of that. Because it's right. And I'm tired of choosing wrong. From outside, the sound of hoofbeats. Fast. Coming hard up the road. Sarah moved to the window. Rider coming? Sheriff's horse? Cole's jaw set. 3 days. He'd had 3 days of peace. The law was here. Sheriff Tom Barlow dismounted slow. He was 56 years old and didn't like what he was about to do. That much showed in the way he took his time, tying his horse, adjusting his hat, clearing his throat twice before knocking. Cole met him on the porch. Didn't invite him in. Tom. Cole. Barlow pulled folded papers from his vest. Got a writ here from Judge Peck. Writ of recovery for one Elena Vargas, signed yesterday. Cole took the papers, read them standing. Legal language wrapped around a simple thing. Return the stolen property or face prosecution. She's not property. Contract says different. Says she owes Raymond Cass 2 years' labor for debt incurred. Says you're harboring her illegally. Barlow shifted his weight. Says I got to bring her in or arrest you for theft. Theft of what? Labor. Services. However the judge wants to word it. Barlow took his hat off, ran his hand through thinning hair. Cole, I don't like this any more than you do, but it's the law. The law. Cole folded the papers. Set them on the porch rail next to the tin cup. Judge Peck signed this over cards at Cass's place? Barlow's silence was answer enough. You got 3 days, the sheriff said finally. After that, I got to come back with deputies. Don't make me do that, Cole. Don't make this harder than it is. He rode away. Dust rising behind him like judgment. Cole sat on the porch till the dust settled. Read the writ 3 more times. Looked for loopholes the way he'd look for weak fence. Contract signed under duress. No witness signature. Exploitative terms, 2 years' labor for $800, worked out to about $1 a week, less than he paid his lowest ranch hand. But territorial court wouldn't care. Cass owned Judge Peck, owned half the county officials, through poker debts and whiskey and whatever else men traded their honor for. Sarah came out, stood beside him. What are you going to do? I don't know yet. She's packing. Cole looked up. What? Soon as she heard the sheriff ride off, went to her room and started packing. He found Elena in the guest room, folding Martha's blue dress, moving quick, hands shaking but determined. Where you think you're going? Anywhere that's not here. She didn't look at him, kept folding. I won't let you lose everything for me. That ain't your choice to make. Yes, it is. She turned on him then, eyes fierce. You think I don't know what this costs? 3 days from now, they'll arrest you. Take your ranch. Everything you built. Because of me. Because of Cass. Because of a corrupt judge and a system that lets men buy and sell. I'm not worth it. The words ripped out of her, raw. That note said it. The one pinned to my dress, not worth saving. And it's true. I'm damaged. Used up. Why would you throw your life away for that? There it was. The wound under the wound. Cole stepped closer, not crowding, just present. Who told you that? Everyone. Her voice broke. My stepfather, Mr. Cass. Every man who... She stopped, turned away. The note just said out loud what I already knew. That note wasn't truth, girl. It was cruelty pretending to be truth. There's a difference. You'll lose everything. And what would I be keeping if I let you go? She had no answer for that. Just stood there, holding Martha's dress like it was the only solid thing in the world. "You're going to run," Cole said quietly, soon as I turned my back. "Going to disappear and think you're doing me a favor." Elena didn't deny it. "Don't." He moved to the door, stopped. "You run, and you prove Cass right. Prove that you're something that can be owned and discarded. You stay, and you prove you're worth standing for. Even if the standing costs." He left her there. Didn't know if she'd listen. Couldn't force her. All he could do was give her the choice. By evening, word had spread. Small towns were like that. A secret had a half-life of about 4 hours. First came Henry Walsh from the bank, polite, concerned. "Folks are talking, Coleman. Might be best for everyone if the girl moved on." Then Martin Cross from the general store. "I got customers asking questions. You harboring a contract laborer, they say. That true?" Even his own ranch hands were uneasy. Foreman pulled him aside at the corral. "Boss, we ain't questioning you. But if the law comes down hard, some of the boys got families. Can't afford to work for an outfit that's facing legal trouble." Cole understood. These were good men. But good men got scared when their wages were threatened. Elena heard it all, stood at the window watching. Every visitor that rode up was another weight on her shoulders. Every worried face, another reason she didn't belong. That night, Cole couldn't sleep. Sat on the porch in the dark, thinking about choices, about Martha, about the land he'd bought instead of going home, about 5 years of building walls instead of bridges. He heard the stable door creak, found Elena there, saddling one of his horses, moving quiet. Thought she could slip away before anyone noticed. "You're a terrible horse thief," he said from the doorway. She froze, didn't turn around. "I can't stay here." Her voice was small, defeated. "You heard them, the bank, the store, your own men. I'm poison to everything I touch." Cole walked to the rope hanging on the wall, the one he'd cut off her 3 days ago, the one he'd thrown in the corner meaning to burn. He took it down, started working the knots loose. Hemp was stiff, stubborn, but he'd been untangling rope since he was 12 years old. "What are you doing?" Elena asked. "Fixing a gate. East pasture. Latch broke yesterday." He worked the rope straight, coiled it proper. "Same rope that bound you. Going to use it to hold something together instead." He looked at her then. Really looked. "You can run if you want. I won't stop you. But understand something. That rope don't define what it's used for. It's just hemp. Just fiber. What matters is whose hands hold it. Same with people. Same with you." He walked out carrying the rope, headed toward the broken gate. Behind him, he heard her crying. Quiet. The kind of tears a person sheds when they've forgotten how to hope, and someone just reminded them. The third night, Elena told her story. Not because Cole asked, not because Sarah pushed, but because silence was its own kind of lie, and she was tired of carrying it alone. They sat at the kitchen table, lamp burning low, wind starting to pick up outside, that restless kind that means weather's coming. "My father died when I was 12, Elena began, voice steady, like she'd practiced this. Mexican, worked cattle for the Hendricks Ranch. Good man, quiet, died when a horse rolled on him." Sarah poured coffee, didn't interrupt. "My mother remarried fast, had to. Woman alone, with a half-Mexican daughter, don't have many choices in Texas." Elena's hands wrapped around her cup. "Thomas Brennan, he seemed decent at first. Sober, anyway." Sarah's face went pale. "The drinking started after the first year, then the gambling, poker, dice, anything with a bet attached." Elena stared into her coffee like she could see the past in it. "When I was 18, he came home one night. Said I owed Mr. Cass $800. Said he'd put my name on loan papers to cover his debts." "He forged your signature," Cole said. "I didn't know that then. I was 17 when he did it. 18 when he told me. Said if I didn't work off the debt, he'd go to prison. Said it was my fault for eating his food all those years." Her voice stayed flat, emotions locked down. I believed him. I thought that's what family was, protecting each other, even when it hurt. Sarah's tears fell silent. She didn't wipe them. "Mr. Cass ran the boarding house." That's what the sign said. "Rooms for working girls. I thought I'd be cleaning. Cooking, maybe." Elena's cup rattled against the saucer. "I was there 3 days before I understood." The wind outside picked up, first dust starting to swirl against the windows. "When I refused to work upstairs, Mr. Cass locked me in a room. No food for 2 days. Then he'd let me out, ask if I'd changed my mind. I'd say no. He'd lock me up again." Her voice never changed pitch, just kept going. "After a month of that, he got meaner, belt, fists, whatever was handy." Cole's jaw set so tight his teeth hurt. 3 weeks ago, there was a fire. Kitchen grease. Small, but but enough smoke to confuse things. I ran, got maybe 5 miles before his men caught me. She touched her neck where the rope burns were still healing. Mr. Cass tied me to your fence himself. Said he wanted me to understand what I was worth. Said the note was a kindness. Said most men would have just shot me and been done with it. The room held its breath. Then Sarah spoke. Thomas Brennan was my husband. Elena's head snapped up. I didn't know, Sarah continued, voice breaking. I knew he gambled, knew he drank. After he lost our ranch, I left him, worked as a cook wherever I could. When Mr. Coleman hired me 5 years ago, I thought I'd left Thomas behind. She looked at Elena. But his damage kept spreading, didn't it? Like poison in a well. You couldn't have stopped him. Maybe. Maybe not. But I should have seen what kind of man he was. Should have known someone who'd destroy his own wife wouldn't stop there. Outside, the wind turned mean. Dust storm rolling in. Brown-gray wall of chaos sweeping across the plains. Cole stood, walked to the window, watched the storm eat the horizon. I got money, he said. Not to them. To the storm. Got land, got cattle, got everything a man's supposed to want. He turned. And I couldn't stop Thomas Brennan from selling a girl, couldn't stop Cass from torturing her, couldn't stop a judge from signing papers over poker chips. You're stopping it now, Sarah said. Am I? Cole's voice was harder than they'd heard. Or am I just making myself feel better, building something that looks like courage, but costs me nothing, can't afford to lose? The reversal was forming, the meaning flipping underneath. 5 years I've been sitting on this ranch, Cole continued, building bigger herds, buying more land, telling myself I was honoring Martha's memory by making something that would last. He looked at his hands. Rancher's hands, moneymaker's hands. But I wasn't building, I was hiding. Elena watched him, silent. Martha died calling my name. I was at the land office buying 2,000 acres I didn't need. Told myself I was securing our future. Truth is, I was just... He stopped. The word caught in his throat. I was just being somewhere else, somewhere safe, where feelings couldn't touch me. The dust storm hits the house. Windows rattling, world outside disappearing into brown chaos. All these men, Cole said. Cass, Peck, Brennan, they ain't special. They're just the ones who showed up, who took action while the rest of us sat comfortable. He looked at Elena. I got wealth enough to change things. Always have. But I used it to build walls instead. Keep the world at arm's length, so I wouldn't have to feel anything. Coleman, 5 years of isolation. Told myself it was grief, but it was cowardice. The truth landed heavy. I built an empire for ghosts because ghosts don't ask you to be present. Don't ask you to risk anything. Thunder rumbled. Not rain, just wind and dust and anger. You're here now? Elena said quietly. Am I? Or am I just hiding again, letting the law do what it does while I sit on my porch feeling righteous? Cole turned from the window. Your story, Elena. It ain't about what happened to you. It's about what didn't happen. All the men who saw and said nothing. All the money that stayed in banks instead of buying justice. All the good folks who kept their heads down. And his meaning reversed. Not, I failed Martha because of circumstances. But, I failed Martha because I chose comfort over presence. Not, I'm helping Elena to redeem the past. But, I'm failing Elena the same way, choosing safety over courage. The storm howled, the house shook, and in 2 days, the law would come. Morning of the third day, Raymond Cass arrived. 6 men rode with him, hard faces, the kind you hire when you want fear to do the talking. Sheriff Barlow came too, duty-bound and miserable, and Judge Harlan Peck, mounted on a gray gelding, dressed like this was a Sunday social instead of a theft recovery. Cole stepped onto his porch. Sarah and Elena stayed inside. Doc Hennessy had arrived an hour earlier, heard what was coming, came to witness. Cass dismounted smooth, dressed fine, spoke finer. Mr. Coleman, I respect you, always have. But law's the law, and we got business to conclude. He handed Cole a document, fresh ink, more legal language wrapped around the same ugly truth. That's a judgment order, Judge Peck said from his horse. Signed yesterday, Miss Vargas is property of Mr. Cass by legal contract until her debt is satisfied. You're harboring stolen labor. That's a criminal offense. Cole read the paper, looked for holes, found none that would matter to this judge. That contract's illegal. She was 17. Signature was forged by a man who's dead. Well, it says who? Peck adjusted his spectacles. You got proof of that? Her word. Against a signed document? The judge smiled. Ugly thing. That ain't how law works, Coleman. Cass stepped closer, voice pleasant, poisonous. Elena, come on out here, girl. Let's go home. I'm a forgiving man. All's forgiven. The door opened. Elena stepped onto the porch. Cole moved to block her. She stepped around him. "No more hiding," she said quietly. She walked down the steps, stood in the yard, facing Cass with 6 men and a sheriff and a judge and half of Cole's ranch hands watching. "You embarrass me," Cass said, still smiling. "Burned my property, cost me business, but I'm willing to forget all that. You come back, we'll start fresh. You tied me to a fence." Elena's voice shook but held. "You wrote a note that said I wasn't worth saving. You stole from me, destroyed my property during your escape. I had every right." "I didn't steal anything. You stole me." Judge Peck cleared his throat. "Young lady, your signature is on legal documents. Contract law is clear. You owe Mr. Cass 2 years of service." "I was 17. My stepfather forged a signature as a signature, and Mr. Brennan's deceased, so we can't verify your claim." Peck pulled out a pocket watch, checked it like this was keeping him from something important. "Sheriff, do your duty." Cole stepped forward. "I'll buy the contract. Name your price." Cass's smile widened. There it was. The moment he'd been waiting for. "She's not for sale, Coleman. She's mine by law, and I don't let go of what's mine." This wasn't about money. Never had been. This was about breaking a man publicly. About proving that wealth couldn't buy everything. About reminding the territory who really held power. Sheriff Barlow stepped forward, hand near his gun, not threatening, just ready. "Mr. Coleman, step aside." Cole didn't move. His ranch hands watched, waiting. Town folks had gathered at the fence line. Word spread fast. Everyone wanted to see what the richest man in the territory would do when the law came calling. Doc Hennessy stepped up beside Cole. "This ain't justice, Barlow, and you know it." Ain't my place to decide justice, Doc. Just enforce what the judge says is law." Sarah came out, stood on the porch. "You can't take her. She's done nothing wrong." Judge Peck's voice went cold. "One more outburst and I'll hold you in contempt, woman. This is a legal matter." The trap closed. Every angle covered, every voice silenced. "Last warning, Coleman." The sheriff's hand moved to his gun. "Obstruction of justice is a crime. I'll arrest you right here if you don't step aside." Cole looked at Elena, saw her resignation. She'd been here before. Different men, different circumstances. Same ending. The powerless always lose. She stepped toward the wagon. Cole grabbed her arm. Not rough. Desperate. "Don't do this. Don't go back to that." Elena's tears came then, finally. "You'll go to prison for me. Lose everything. I can't let that happen. Listen to me. Coleman, let her go. Now." The sheriff drew his weapon, not pointing, just present. The moment stretched. Cole's grip on Elena's arm. His ranch hands watching their boss choose between law and conscience. The whole territory holding its breath. He let go. Elena walked to the wagon, climbed in, didn't look back. The wagon started to roll. Cole stood frozen. History repeating. 5 years ago, he'd been at the land office. Document spread on the desk. 2,000 acres of prime grazing land, the deal of a lifetime. Neighbor had ridden up, dusty, urgent. "Mr. Coleman, your wife's asking for you. The fever's got bad." Cole had looked at the unsigned papers, looked at the neighbor, made a choice. "Tell her I'll come soon as this deal closes. Hour, maybe 2. The deal took 6 hours. Martha died in 4. He'd arrived home to find her cold, their unborn son gone with her. She'd been calling his name, calling for him to be present, and he'd been signing papers. Told himself, I was securing our future. Truth, I chose the deal over her, chose comfort, chose safety, chose the thing that couldn't hurt me. Present moment. Watching Elena's wagon roll away, same choice. Safety or courage, comfort or presence. And he'd chosen the same way. His knees buckled. Sarah rushed to him. "Mr. Coleman." But he wasn't hurt, wasn't injured. He was breaking, 5 years of buried truth erupting all at once. The tears came. The kind a man spends a lifetime avoiding, the kind that unmakes you. "I wasn't there." His voice cracked. "I wasn't there for her. And now," Doc knelt beside him, put a hand on his shoulder. "Boy, you still ain't there, but you can be." Cole looked up. Wagon was 50 yards away now. Elena's back straight, accepting her fate the way she'd learned to accept everything. 5 years, Cole whispered. 5 years I told myself I failed Martha because of bad timing, because of circumstances. But that's a lie, Doc. That's a lie I've been hiding in. What's the truth? I chose the land over her, chose to finish the deal, chose not to go home. The words ripped out of him. I failed her because I was a coward, and I'm doing it again, right now. Choosing safety, choosing to let that girl go, because fighting costs too much. The truth he'd avoided for 5 years. Not guilt over circumstances, guilt over choice. He'd built his empire to hide from that truth. Built walls, counted money, rode fence lines alone. All of it to avoid feeling the weight of what he'd chosen. And here he was, choosing the same way. Watching another woman disappear because standing up would cost him. Doc's voice was quiet, firm. You can let her go and stay safe. Keep your ranch. Keep your standing. Nobody'd blame you. Cole watched the wagon, 70 yards now. Or you can stand up, risk everything, probably lose. But at least you'd be choosing courage instead of comfort. The weight of it. 5 years of false guilt falling away, real guilt taking its place, not guilt for what fate did. Guilt for what he chose, Martha's voice in his memory. Her last words, spoken to the neighbor. Tell Cole I love him. Tell him, be present, be present. He looked at the tin cup on the porch rail, Elena's coffee from this morning, cold now. Martha's voice again. Things that survive a fall are worth keeping. Not the cup, people, him, Elena. All of them broken, all of them worth keeping if they could just stand up after the fall. The question wasn't whether he'd failed Martha. He had, chose wrong, let her die alone. The question was whether he had anything left inside him worth standing for. Whether 5 years of cowardice had killed whatever man he used to be. Wagon was 100 yards away, disappearing into dust. Cole stood, legs shaky, vision blurred, but standing. He walked toward the stable. Toward his horse, nobody spoke. Nobody knew what he was about to do. Truth was, neither did he. But he was done watching. Done choosing comfort. Whatever came next would hurt, would cost. Might cost everything, but at least he'd be present for it. At least he'd finally be there. Cole rode out alone. Didn't head toward town, didn't follow the wagon. Just rode east, away from everything, toward the line shack on the edge of his property. Nobody followed. Ranch hands figured he was retreating, giving up. Running from shame the way rich men do, find somewhere private to lick their wounds. Let them think it. The sun was setting, desert night coming on, that deep navy blue that makes a man feel small. Stars appearing one by one like puncture wounds in canvas. Wind had died down after the dust storm. Now everything was still, quiet, the kind of quiet that forces a man to hear his own thoughts. Cole reached the line shack an hour after dark. Small place, one room, hadn't been here in 5 years. Hadn't been able to. This was where he'd brought Martha after the wedding. Couldn't afford the ranch house yet. Just this shack, and 100 head of cattle, and a promise to build her something better. He dismounted, didn't go inside. Just sat on the porch step in the darkness. No lamp, no fire. Nothing but stars and silence, and the weight of 52 years. Memory came uninvited. Their wedding night, right here. She'd made coffee in that tin cup, only one they had. Handed it to him at dawn while he was putting on his boots. We ain't got much, Cole. We will. I'll build you a kingdom. She'd laughed, that laugh that sounded like mourning. Just build me a home. Kingdom sounds lonely. He'd built the kingdom, lost the home. Another memory, sharper, the one he'd been avoiding for 5 years. The day she died. He'd been at the Territorial Land Office. Deal on the table. 2,000 acres. Prime grazing land with year-round water. The opportunity of a lifetime. Neighbor rode up hard, horse lathered. Mr. Coleman, your wife's asking for you. The fever's bad, real bad. Cole had looked at the unsigned documents, looked at the neighbor's desperate face, made his choice. Tell her I'll be there soon as this closes. Hour tops. But the seller wanted to negotiate. Water rights, fence lines, mineral claims. 1 hour became 3, became 6. By the time Cole rode home, the preacher was already there. Martha was laid out on the bed, still warm, but gone, baby boy gone with her. Never drew breath, the neighbor had stayed, waited to tell Cole the last thing Martha said. She kept asking for you, kept saying your name. The neighbor's voice had broken. Last thing she said was, tell Cole I love him. Tell him, be present. Be present. Not tell him I forgive him. Not tell him it's okay. Just be present. Because she'd known what he'd chosen, known he'd picked the land deal over her. Known that he'd always been better at building empires than being present for what mattered. Cole sat in the darkness, let that memory tear through him. Didn't fight it, didn't push it away. For 5 years, he'd told himself a story. Bad timing, bad luck. If only the deal had closed faster. If only the fever had held off longer. If only, if only, if only. Lies. The truth was simpler, uglier. He'd chosen, made a decision. Picked what felt safe and profitable over what was fragile and needed him. And today, watching Elena's wagon roll away, he'd chosen the same way. Could dress it up as wisdom. As protecting his ranch. As being realistic about what one man could do against a corrupt system. But that was just more lies. He'd let her go because fighting was hard and losing was possible and comfort was easier than courage. Wind picked up, gentle, moved through the barbed wire on the fence line, Made it sing. Same wire, different wind, different sound. Cole thought about the rope. The one he'd cut off Elena. The one he'd unknotted and used to fix the broken gate. Same hemp, different purpose. Same man could make different choices too, if he had anything left inside worth choosing with. Question was, did he? 5 years of isolation. 5 years of building walls. 5 years of hiding behind wealth and grief and the comfortable story that he was honoring Martha's memory. Was there anything left under all that? Any spine? Any courage? Or had he spent it all buying land and counting cattle and riding fence lines alone? The stars turned overhead, slow, eternal. Didn't care about his crisis, about Elena, about Martha. Just kept turning the way they'd turned for 1,000,000 years before he was born, and would keep turning 1,000,000 years after he was dust. Something clarifying about that, about being small under a sky that big. He wasn't the hero of this story, wasn't the answer to Elena's prayers, wasn't the savior riding in to fix what evil men had broken. He was just a man, 52 years old, made of mistakes and money and missed chances, but he was alive. That was the thing he kept forgetting. Martha was dead, the baby was dead, 5 years gone and not coming back, but he was alive, Elena was alive, and alive meant choices still mattered, meant showing up still counted for something. Maybe he'd lose, probably would. Cass had the law, had the judge, had men willing to enforce whatever papers got signed. But at least Cole would be present for the losing, at least he'd stand up, at least Martha's last words, be present, would finally mean something. Dawn broke, plains, dawn atmosphere, soft gold, rose-colored sky, the world apologizing for yesterday's dust storm, promising nothing except another day. Cole hadn't slept, but he was clearer than he'd been in years. He mounted his horse, rode back toward the ranch. Sarah and Doc were on the porch, waiting. Looked like they'd been there all night. "We thought you'd left for good," Sarah said. Thought about it. Doc studied his face. And then I remembered I'm still alive. Been forgetting that for a while. He swung down from his horse, tied it to the rail, picked up the tin cup Elena had used yesterday morning, still sitting there, coffee long gone. "What now?" Sarah asked. Cole looked toward town, toward wherever Cass had taken Elena, toward the judge and the sheriff and the whole corrupt system that ran on money and silence. "Now I stop hiding." Cole rode into town at noon, straight to the courthouse. Found Judge Peck in his chambers, feet up on his desk, flask half empty beside the gavel. "I'm calling for a town meeting, emergency session, territorial statute 317. You got to honor it." Peck looked up, annoyed. "On what grounds?" "Contested contract, public interest. Take your pick." "That matter's settled, Coleman. Girl's back where she belongs." "Then you got nothing to fear from a public hearing, unless you sign something you can't defend in daylight." That landed. Peck's face colored. But Cole was right. Statute 317 said, any citizen with standing could call for public review of territorial court decisions. Hadn't been used in 15 years, but it was still law. "Fine, tonight, 7 o'clock, church." Peck's smile was mean. "So everyone can watch you embarrass yourself." Word spread fast. By 6:30, the church was packed. Seemed like every soul in the territory wanted to see what the richest man in town would do when he had no cards left to play. Cole arrived at 7, Doc and Sarah with him. Cass was already there. Front row, arms crossed. Elena sat beside him, hands folded, eyes down. Bruise forming on her cheek that wasn't there yesterday. Cole's jaw set, but he didn't rush forward, didn't make a scene, just walked to the front, stood where the preacher usually stood, faced everyone. Judge Peck sat at his deacon's table, looking bored. Sheriff Barlow stood by the door. Town council filled the second row. Ranch hands, store owners, church ladies, even kids pressed against the back wall. Cole cleared his throat. No prepared speech, just truth. "Most of you know me. Know I got money. Know I lost my wife 5 years back to the fever." He paused. "Let that sit. What you don't know is I wasn't there when she died." The room shifted. This wasn't what they'd expected. "I was at the land office, buying 2,000 acres. Deal of a lifetime," they said. Couldn't pass it up. His voice stayed steady. "My wife was dying 3 miles away, asking for me, and I chose to finish the deal." Sarah wiped her eyes. Doc stood silent. "I told myself for 5 years that I failed her because of bad timing, bad luck. But that's a lie." Cole looked around the room, met eyes. "I failed her because I chose comfort over courage, chose profit over presence. And she died calling my name." Silence, heavy, real. 3 days ago, I found Elena Vargas tied to my fence. Note pinned to her that said she wasn't worth saving. And he pulled the note from his pocket, held it up. "Raymond Cass wrote that, about a human being. About a girl who'd been beaten and starved and sold by her own stepfather. Cass stood. She's a thief and a liar. She's a woman you tortured. Cole's voice cut through. And every person in this room knows it. Judge Peck banged his gavel. Mr. Coleman, you're out of order. This isn't a trial. You're right, it's not, because if it was, you'd have to recuse yourself. Whole territory knows Cass pays your poker debts. The room erupted, voices, accusations. Peck's face went red. Cole waited for quiet, then reached into his coat, pulled out the tin cup, set it on the table in front of everyone. This cup held my wife's love every morning for 12 years. She'd make coffee. Set it on the porch rail. Wait for me to come home. People leaned forward, listening. After she died, I threw away every cup in the house, except this one, kept it hidden. Couldn't bear to look at it, couldn't bear to throw it away. He picked it up, showed the dent. 3 days ago, Elena found this cup, didn't know what it meant, just washed it, made me coffee, put it back on the porch rail. His voice cracked, just barely. She put life back in something I thought was dead. Sarah was crying, Doc's hand on her shoulder. Half the room fighting tears? Now you're telling me that's worthless? That the woman who reminded me what it means to be alive isn't worth standing for? Silence. Complete. I got a choice today. Same choice I had 5 years ago. Cole looked directly at Elena. She was looking at him now, tears streaming. I can stay safe, stay quiet, let the law do what it does, or I can stand up for what's right, even if it costs me everything. And he turned to the crowd. 5 years ago, I chose wrong, chose land over love, chose to finish a deal instead of being there for my wife when she needed me. He paused. Her last words were, tell Cole to be present. I wasn't then, but I'm present now. Movement in the crowd. Doc Hennessy stood. I examined that girl. She's been beaten, starved, brutalized. That ain't debt collection. That's torture. Sarah stood next. Elena's stepfather was my husband, Thomas Brennan. He forged her signature when she was 17. She was a child. The blacksmith stood. Big man, quiet till now. I seen Cass's operation, seen girls go in fresh and come out broken. Ain't nothing legal about it, no matter what papers say. Then the general store owner's wife. My daughter's 18, could have been her, could be any of our daughters if we keep looking away. One by one, standing, speaking, the tide turning, Cass raged. You people don't understand law. I got contracts. I got rights. Cole stepped forward, voice quiet, deadly. You got papers, signed by a corrupt judge, and bought with money made from girls you broke? That ain't law. That's evil wearing a suit. He turned to Judge Peck. You got Cass's money in your pocket. Whole town knows it. But you also got voters in this room. Territorial elections in 6 months. Every person here remembers what you choose today. Peck shifted, calculation in his eyes. I'll match whatever Cass paid you. Cole's voice was steel. Double it, and I won't ask for payback. You do the right thing here, we're square. Forever. Buying justice. Ugly. But the system was already bought. Sometimes you had to outbid the devil. Peck looked around the room. Saw which way the wind was blowing. Saw votes. Saw social pressure. Saw his future. Mr. Cass, where's the original signed contract? Cass fumbled. It's with my lawyer in Santa Fe. So you don't have it. It exists. But you can't produce it. Can't prove the signature's legitimate. Can't verify this girl's consent. Peck banged his gavel. Without original documentation, I'm forced to vacate my previous ruling. Case dismissed. Legal victory. Hollow. The system was still corrupt. But community pressure had worked. But Cole knew it deep in his bones. He hadn't saved Elena to redeem Martha's death. Martha was still gone. The past didn't change. That guilt didn't wash away. What changed was him, right now, this moment. Choosing presence over comfort, choosing courage over safety, not redemption, becoming. Becoming the man Martha asked him to be, the man he'd failed to be 5 years ago. Being present didn't fix the past, but it made the future possible. That was enough. Elena stood, walked through the crowd, straight to Cole, didn't speak, just stood there. Free, witnessed, seen. The room watched in silence. Outside, autumn light poured through the windows, amber, copper, beautiful, even as it faded. Some things are worth losing everything for. Some things are worth finally showing up for. The case was dismissed. The words hung in the air like smoke after a gunshot. Cass stormed out, took his men with him, slammed the church door hard enough to rattle the windows. Judge Peck gathered his papers quick and left through the side door. Didn't meet anyone's eyes. Sheriff Barlow approached Elena. Miss Vargas, you're free to go. Legally speaking, you were never Mr. Cass's property. Contract's void. Elena stood there, didn't move, like she couldn't quite believe it yet. Like freedom was a language she'd forgotten how to speak. Ma'am, Barlow's voice was gentle. You understand? You're free. She nodded, but her hands were shaking. Sarah came to her, took her arm. Come on, honey, let's get you home. Home. The word seemed to hit Elena harder than the ruling had. Her knees buckled slightly. Sarah caught her. Easy now, you're safe. It's over. But Elena was crying. Not sad crying, something bigger. Like 5 years of holding everything in had finally found the crack to pour through. They walked outside, the whole town watching. Some folks nodded. Some looked away, ashamed they hadn't spoken up sooner. Some still disapproved, thought Cole had overstepped, bought justice he had no right buying. But most just watched a girl walk free for the first time in years. The sky opened. First rain in 4 months. Late summer rain, gray-blue clouds, heavy drops, the kind that makes the whole earth sigh in relief. Elena stopped walking, stood in the street, face turned up to the sky. Rain soaked her dress, ran down her face, mixed with her tears till you couldn't tell which was which. Cole stood on the church steps, watched her, didn't rush her, didn't tell her to get out of the rain, just let her have the moment. Sarah stood beside him. She needs this. I know. Thank you, Mr. Coleman, for standing up, for being there. He didn't answer. Didn't know how to explain that he wasn't the hero of this story, that he'd almost failed the same way he'd failed Martha, that showing up shouldn't require thanks, it should be what a man does. But Sarah understood, without him saying it, touched his arm, went to stand with Elena in the rain. They rode back to the ranch an hour later, all 3 of them soaked, horses plodding through mud, the land drinking deep after months of dust. Elena didn't speak the whole ride, just watched the world like she was seeing it for the first time. Rain on fence posts, creek running high, cattle moving slow through wet grass. Back at the ranch, Sarah heated water for baths, made soup, moved quiet through the house doing the small things that make a place feel like sanctuary. Cole sat on the porch, rain still falling, gentle now. The tin cup sat on the rail where it had been for 3 days, filling with rainwater. He picked it up, dumped the water, studied the dent, the worn handle, the way 5 years of hiding hadn't changed its shape, just what it meant to him. Martha had said, things that survive a fall are worth keeping. She hadn't been talking about the cup. Or maybe she had been, but not just the cup. Everything that breaks and keeps going. Everyone who falls and stands back up. Him, Elena, Sarah, all of them dented and worn and still here. He set the cup back on the rail, didn't hide it, didn't put it away, just left it there to catch rain and morning coffee and whatever else came. Some things aren't meant to stay in cupboards. That evening, Sarah brought Elena to the porch. The rain had stopped, sky clearing, first stars appearing. Elena wore dry clothes, hair braided, face scrubbed clean. She looked younger without the fear. 24 going on ancient, but something in her eyes had softened. Thank you, she said to Cole, for everything. You don't owe me thanks. I know, that's why I'm giving it. She smiled, small, careful, like she was testing whether smiling was safe again. Sarah says you're not good at accepting gratitude. Sarah talks too much. Sarah appeared in the doorway. Sarah hears everything. She set down a plate of cornbread. And Sarah knows you haven't eaten since yesterday. Cole took a piece. Elena did too. They ate in silence, comfortable. The kind of quiet that comes after storms when everyone's too tired to pretend. What happens now? Elena asked finally. You tell me. It's your life. She looked surprised. Like the question itself was freedom. I don't know. I haven't had choices in a long time. Well, Cole leaned back in his chair. You can stay here long as you want. Guest room's yours. Sarah could use help with the books. She hates numbers. Or the blacksmith's looking for someone who can read and write. Pays fair. You don't expect me to. I expect you to live your life. That's all. He looked at her direct. I didn't stand up for you so you'd owe me. I stood up because it was right. What you do next, that's yours to decide. Elena's eyes filled again, but she nodded, understanding maybe for the first time that freedom meant choosing, not owing. 2 days later, Sarah brought a small wooden box to Elena, set it on the kitchen table between them. What is this? Letters. Sarah's voice was quiet. From other women Thomas Brennan hurt. I've been collecting them since he died. Guilt, I suppose, trying to understand what kind of man I married. Elena opened the box, saw names, addresses, stories written in desperate hands. You ain't alone in what he did, Sarah said. None of you were. I thought maybe knowing that might help. Elena read one letter, then another, saw patterns, saw herself in their words, saw a sisterhood of survivors she hadn't known existed. He told me I was the only one, Elena whispered, that I was uniquely worthless. He lied, and Sarah took her hand. You were never alone. You were just isolated. There's a difference. Elena cried then, not grief, something closer to recognition. Like seeing yourself in a mirror after years of being told you don't exist. Sarah held her. Two women bound by one man's cruelty, healing through witness. Outside, the land was green again, rain-fed, alive. The tin cup on the porch rail held fresh coffee. Morning light turned it gold. Some things break so they can heal stronger. Some people, too. First morning of true freedom, Elena woke to sunlight, not the kind that burned, the soft gold kind that makes you want to sit in it a while. She got up, made coffee in the tin cup, set it on the porch rail, not because she had to, because she wanted to. Cole came out, saw the cup, saw her standing there in Martha's old dress, hair loose, face calm. You don't have to do that, you know. I know, I want to. He picked up the cup, took a sip, face twisted. Good Lord, girl. You make coffee strong enough to strip paint off a barn, Elena laughed. First real laugh. The sound surprised them both. Sarah taught me, said you like it that way. Sarah's a damn liar. I heard that, Sarah called from inside. Cole tried to hide his smile. Failed. Drank the coffee anyway. Well, I suppose a man can get used to anything if he tries hard enough. By the end of the week, Elena had taken a job at the blacksmith shop. Not shoeing horses, Marcus Webb handled that, but filing, bookkeeping, reading orders, organizing the chaos of receipts and invoices that had piled up for years. She brought her first week's pay back to Cole, $3, set it on the kitchen table, for room and board. Cole pushed it back. You don't owe me anything. I know. She pushed it toward him again. That's why I'm paying. He studied her face, saw the difference. Debt was a chain, gratitude was freedom. She was choosing to give, not forced to owe. He took the money, respected her enough to let her stand on her own. Small-town life came slow. Not everyone welcomed her. Some church ladies still whispered. Called her that Mexican girl, like it was a diagnosis. Crossed the street when she walked by. But others surprised her. Mrs. Patterson from the general store brought fabric. For a new dress. Something that fits proper. Old Ben Crawford tipped his hat when she passed. Morning, Miss Vargas. And one day, after church, Mrs. Henderson, 60 years old, respectable as Sunday, pulled Elena aside. My husband used to hit me, 20 years before he died. Nobody helped, nobody said a word. She pressed Elena's hand. I'm glad Mr. Coleman helped you. I'm glad somebody finally stood up. Elena hadn't known what to say, just nodded, let the woman walk away. Later she told Sarah about it. Suffering's more common than folks admit, Sarah said. We just all pretend we're the only ones carrying it. Elena decided to teach Spanish reading to the Mexican children in town. Volunteer work. Tuesday and Thursday evenings in the church basement. Started with 3 kids. By the 3rd week, had 12. Cole watched from his porch sometimes when she rode into town. Watched her become herself, not the broken girl from the fence, not the victim needing saving, just Elena, finding her shape in the world. Doc stopped by one evening, sat with Cole, both of them watching the sunset paint the land copper and gold. You done good, boy. Didn't do it to be good. Did it because I couldn't live with myself if I didn't. Doc packed his pipe. That's what good is, doing what you can't walk away from. Cole was quiet a moment. You think Martha would have been proud? I think Martha would have said, you're finally listening. That landed soft, like grace, like forgiveness arriving in a voice you'd stopped expecting to hear. One afternoon, Elena tried to help with ranch work, absolutely terrible at it, couldn't rope, spooked the horses, tangled herself in the lasso trying to learn. The ranch hands found it amusing, but stayed respectful. Young Billy Morgan tried to teach her, patient, kind. Like this, Mrs. Vargas. Loop goes over. No, wait. The rope swung wild. Caught Cole square in the face as he walked past. Everyone froze. Cole just stood there, rope hanging off his hat, stunned. Then he laughed. First real laugh in 5 years. The kind that comes from your belly and makes your eyes water. Well, at least we know you can defend yourself now. The tension broke, everyone laughing. Elena mortified but grinning. The sound of it, joy, simple and unexpected, rolling across the ranch like rain. Life returning to a place that had forgotten what living sounded like. That evening, Cole and Elena sat on the porch, stars coming out, cricket song rising from the grass. I'm not very good at ranch work, Elena said. No, ma'am, you are not. But I'm good with numbers and teaching, and I like it here. Then stay, long as you want. Far as I'm concerned, this is home if you need it to be. She was quiet. Then, why did you really do all this? Stand up in that church, risk everything. Cole thought about it. About Martha. About 5 years of hiding. About the choice to finally show up. Because I was tired of being a ghost in my own life. You didn't save me, Elena. But you reminded me I was still alive. That living means showing up for things. Even when it costs. Did it cost? Not as much as not doing it would have. The stars turned overhead. The land breathed. The tin cup sat empty on the rail, waiting for tomorrow's coffee. Some things mend, some people too, and some men finally learn that being present is all that ever mattered. 6 months passed, like seasons do, slow, certain. Elena still worked at the blacksmith's, still taught Spanish on Tuesday and Thursday evenings, still lived in the guest room that wasn't a tomb anymore, just a room where someone lived and breathed and dreamed about tomorrow. She planted a garden by the side of the house. Spring arriving, tomatoes, peppers, herbs her mother used to grow. Things with roots, things that needed tending. Cole watched her work the soil one morning. Didn't help, didn't hover. Just let her build something of her own. She was putting down roots, literal ones. The kind that said, I'm staying, I belong here, not because anyone owned her, because she chose it. Early morning, plains dawn light turning everything soft gold. Elena set the tin cup on the porch rail. Coffee steaming, ritual now, hers by choice, not duty. Cole came out, took the cup, drank. She'd finally learned how he liked it. Still strong, but not paint stripper strong. They sat, watched the sunrise, paint the land in colors that looked like promise. No words needed, just presence. Two people who'd survived their falls, dented, worn, still here. The repaired gate swung gentle in the morning breeze. Rope that had bound her now held things together. Same hemp, different hands, different purpose. Wind moved through the barbed wire fence, made it sing, musical, peaceful. Even sharp things can make beauty if the wind's right. Cole thought about Martha, always would. But the grief had changed shape. Less like a wound, more like a scar. Proof you survived something that could have killed you. Elena looked at the garden. Seedlings pushing through soil, growing toward light. Some things break so they can heal stronger. Some people, too. And some men finally learn that worth isn't measured in what others write on notes or pin to fences. It's measured in who shows up at dawn, who stays, who chooses presence over comfort, who remembers that being there, just being there, is all that ever mattered. The sun rose. They watched it together. That was enough.